Alrighty guys, what is up? Welcome to a new series for the channel for Shapes 2 with Lone Debater 7, and we're going to do a little Let's Play for this game. It's a factory automation builder, which if you've seen some of the other content on my channel, you know that I love me some good Factorio, some good Satisfactory, Dyson Sphere program. Kind of like those games, but it has its own little intricacies, its own differences that make it quite fun to play, and I wanted to share it with you. It was on sale when I bought it on Steam. I think it was like maybe 15% off or something. So if you want to pick it up, now might be a decent time to do it if you're watching it around when this episode comes out. We're going to call this YouTube Let's Play, just so I can keep my saves straight. And then on the difficulty, we are going to play challenge. We will start at the operator's certification, just so we then can go into the we can pick our factory later once we finish off the certification. On the seed, I want to play all 7, so 6 sevens, just like that. And we're going to hit play, dive on in, take you into the game, kind of see what we got. So kind of the concept of this, if you play the first shapes, then you know the goal is to build various types of shapes and deliver it into this little vortex portal, what hub I think is what they call it, but whatever. This is our map, so we've got some other shapes that we can access later in the game. But first things first, we're just starting out, so we don't have everything unlocked yet. We've got belts, we've got cutters, rotators, and extractors, and we're trying to get through these milestones. So with each milestone, this is kind of half of the tech tree, or well, this is part of the tech tree, I guess, is maybe more accurate. So as you do milestones, you unlock more complexity or more things that you can build and access. There's also technology and stuff, but we don't unlock that until we get started. So first thing we need to do, we need to get 15 circles into the middle. We're going to take some extractors. We're going to place them on these little guys to get us our circles mined up. Then we are going to go ahead and place some belts. Now, what's cool about this game, as far as belt placement and stuff goes, a couple things. So first, you can place anchor points as you're dragging. That's done by pressing the C key while you're dragging. Super helpful for getting the belts to go exactly where you want. The other thing, there is no build cost for any of the buildings, so very easy to just, delete what you had before and change it to be what you need going forward, that kind of stuff. You have shift to select multiple items. You can select individual items. You can right click and select and delete things. You can control click and select multiples like that. So there's a lot of stuff going on, right? But basic game, we got to get resources into the middle. Just like any other factory automation game, it's really easy to get started. This is just a basic, can you mine the circles and put some belts down? Yes we can. We need about 15. I'm going to let these kind of buffer a little bit, then we'll get started building the next thing. So that should be enough of that. I'm just going to delete these out because we need to do half circles next. So to do half circles, we need a half destroyer. And the ratio is going to be 3 to 1. Then what I'm going to do is something like this. And we'll bring this guy out like that. This guy like this. Whoops. Just like that. Now those are all hooked up. And, ooh, that's going to be a little tricky because we don't actually have multi-levels set up yet, I don't believe. Right? Yeah, I can't go up to a second height, but that's fine. Let's try this then. So instead of these coming out that way, I actually want them to come out the other way, I think. Not a rotator, but a half destroyer. Yeah, that should work. Because then I can bring these guys out like this. These guys in like this. And then bring them in like that. There we go. Little design to get us some half circles. We only need 60, so it doesn't take too long. But we do also need squares. So to start out with, our two shapes are squares and circles. You'll be using squares and circles for a lot of stuff to get going for several hours. Or well, depending on how good you are. For several hours are just circles and squares. But trust me, it does get more complicated, and we do get to have a lot of crazy processes built out and things like that in order to actually get going. So let's go ahead and connect in our squares so they can get doing their thing, and we can get the next tier of the milestone. So each milestone generally has 3 levels or 4 levels, right? So if we scroll through 1, 2, 3, right, there's 3 different sets of shapes. So now that we've got our halves done, we actually need to take this one step further and make these into quarters. So in order to do that, I actually just need to add on some rotators and another line of half destroyers. So I'm going to revamp this because you might as well do these in line is how I feel about it. So we're going to put 3 rotators after those half destroyers, put another half destroyer or 3 half destroyers after that, and then these can go back in. And that's our quarters done. We are going to double up these lines. So 1, 2, 1, 2, a rotator in between. Boom, just like that. Pretty easy, right? Not too bad. So something to note here, I guess we can talk about while this is kind of ticking over. After you cut it in half, you do need to rotate and then before you make the second cut in order to get the quarters. So just bear that in mind. Now we don't have access to copy and paste quite yet, but there is copy and paste that becomes available to us later. Really helps in making the build process a lot faster, if you know what I mean. So let's go ahead, connect these, connect these, connect these. And I suppose I could have done this in a way that would allow me to expand it a little easier down the road, but that's all right, because I think we do have to make quarter squares eventually. But that's okay. We'll just make the half squares to start, and then we can figure out the quarters later. Now, something to note. Let's talk about this while we're waiting for our squares. So we've got a gray check mark. What that means is this used to be required, and we satisfied the requirement already. So you can put in shapes that you don't need. They just basically get wasted is how that works. But these squares, since we still need them, they have this green check mark. Now, if I was putting in the wrong shape altogether, we'd have a red X type symbol above the lanes. So this is a good way to see from, like this level, you're zoomed out trying to do a bunch of crazy stuff or monitor your factory. You can see, am I actually putting in the stuff that I need very easily? Do I have green above the lines? This doesn't have green, so that would tell me, oh, I can maybe utilize these resources for something else. But just like that, we've got our first milestone completed. Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. So let's go ahead and unlock it. So doing this milestone gets a stacker and second floor. We'll unlock. Cool. Your stacker allows you to stack shapes for multiple layers. We also get tasks unlocked to us at this point. This is how you get actual research points. And we get upgrades unlocked. So this is what you can spend research points on. Pretty cool. So let's go ahead and dive back in because we can maybe get a couple of things set up here. So first things first, I don't really need those going in. I don't really need those going in. Now, I do need quarter squares for one of these lines. So what I'm going to do, because I know that I need some squares for this shape, I'm going to utilize these 2 lines to make our quarter squares for the milestone. So let's just go ahead and chop those real quick. Bring these in, and these in. And we'll just go ahead and quickly make a couple lines of quarter squares. That way we can get that part of the milestone done and unlock the next one, which is going to be more complicated. But we do need full squares and full circles. So I think we will also break this line. How many of those do we need? 360? So yeah, I think we'll do 2 lines for this build is what I'm thinking, just to make it go a little faster. These belts by default are carrying 60 a minute. So if we do 2 lines, that's 120 a minute. So 3 minutes to complete it once we have the build running, right? So not terrible. So let's see. Stacker is the new thing that we got. It's 6 of these per line. Basically, the way this works is you take your lower input goes on the bottom, your upper input goes on the top, and then you feed it in, just like anything else. So I'm going to do 6 of them because that's the ratio right there. And then we'll do another 6 of them right there. I'm going to take this line of squares, put it in there. And then this line of squares can go in there. This is ultimately going to go in like that, and this will go in like that. Now all we got to do is bring over our circles. So we also unlock second floor. What's cool about this game, you can go up on floors, which is pretty cool. So you can make pretty complex things if you so desire. Now this one needs to go in the bottom. I was one off. What a shame. So some things to note. You can just place belts up high like this. That's not connected to anything, right? You can place them on the ground. In order to get the lift, you start on the ground, push the E key to go up to the top floor, and then you start dragging the belt, and that gives you your top floor belt. It's this level. Boom. There's those circles. Then we'll do the same. And to switch between floors, E goes up, Q goes down by default. You probably can change that in the hotkey setting if you so desire. But yeah, that's the default control. So there we go. We got our circles feeding in. Once they get over to the stacker lines, we'll start putting in this milestone shape. So that's cool. Now, we do have some tasks that we could take a look at completing. Once our quarter square is done, we'll maybe use that to get this first set of pyramids. But I think we can, in the meantime, stack the remaining circles that we have here into the other shape that we're looking for, these stacked circles. So we'll grab a line of stackers, and I think I want them coming in like this. 6 of them, that's the ratio. Bring this guy in, bring this guy in, bring this guy out. Now it's only one line. It is a little bit less, so it'll take a little longer to finish out the task. Once you get tasks unlocked, it is a good idea to kind of get started doing them as soon as possible if you have the resources available, just because you want to fill out the research points so you can unlock stuff. So these tasks also become increasingly more complex. So you start out with a really basic shape like stacked circles, then you end up with stacked circles in corners and stuff like that. So just bear that in mind. The sooner you get started on the tasks, the sooner you'll be able to progress through on that. Now, I do have an extra set of squares and circles on this map, so I am going to just hook up our second set of squares, and we'll start the pyramids right away, I think. And as far as these belts go, not a big deal. You do agree not to make spaghetti in the beginning, which I think is hilarious, but yeah, we're gonna do what we need to do, is how I feel about it. So let's see. I want the output right here. And these are just gonna stack squares for us. So squares, 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 squares. Bring them in. There's our pyramids, or 2-stack pyramid. We'll get 3-stack pyramid shortly. We'll basically pull one of these lines and bring it, or actually we could pull both of those lines and bring it over. We could do that now. Actually, no, we need to stack these is our next milestone task. So we've got 2 lines of quarter squares. That's perfect. Let's go ahead and throw in a stacker line for them. And yeah, we'll use this one for the bottom. This one can go up top. And when you drag the belts like this, those are building it like a splitter, more or less. So the ratio should be appropriate for splitting and filling out this whole line. So just bear that in mind. Actually, I need to bring this whole thing forward, don't I? Darn it. Put it a little too close. So we actually need it here. You know what? We'll just bring it over like this since it's wanting to be a little bit difficult. There we go. Quarter stacks going in. Awesome. So we're getting 3 things going at once. We do have another 4 circles over here that we can hook up at some point, but we don't need them quite yet. We will soon. Like this shape will take a circle. This one's actually not super easy to do, meaning like out of the starting task, this is probably the hardest one to get started with. I want to wait until I get the cutter before we start looking at that, or maybe even the swapper. So we'll just let these kind of trickle through. It takes some time, obviously, to generate the resources. So like this line's only doing 60 a minute. So to get this one, it's like what, 5-6 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes. Sorry, I can do math. Pyramids, we got 2 of them. It should only take 2 minutes for this to complete. That's why this one will actually probably complete before this one. This one will take a while because it's 600 and we only have 1 line, so 60 minutes. So 10 minutes for this. This one's almost done, actually. So this one will be done soon enough. Then we can add on the next step for it. So you can look at your milestones to see what the next shape is going to be. So after this one finishes, we have squares and corners. So we have the 2 quarters. We just need to set them up like this. That'll be pretty easy. The next one for this is just cutting it in half, and we do a quarter. So that's also pretty easy. Now, if we wanted to make that go faster, we could increase our lines, meaning we could cut down the number of squares and send in, some circles or something. But it's okay. I think we're just going to leave it. So shape goal's been completed. That's this one. So now what we need to do is chop these and cut them in half. So we're going to put 3 cutters here. Then we'll throw 3 cutters here. We'll take this guy out to feed this line. Boom. This guy can come in and feed this line. And there we go. There's that. And we've got 2 tasks done. We'll go ahead and unlock them. Boom, boom. So for these, cutting step by step. So now instead of just double stack, we need to cut them first before putting them in. That's easy. We will go ahead and throw in a cutter line here. And actually what I can do is just go boom, like that, and like that. And there's that one done. Then for these, since we have 2 of them, we can do something similar, side by side. Like this. And there's that. Now we've got these 2 tasks trickling. We've got our 2 milestones trickling. Not terrible, right? So, I mean, the game's pretty cool. If we go into research points, we do actually have some now. So I could upgrade our belts, our cutting, or our stacking. What I would suggest on this, in order to keep your ratios even, I would upgrade all 3 of these at the same time. If you don't, then your ratios can become weird. And I want to avoid weird ratios. So if I want to do my belts, cutting, and stacking, I need 6 points right now to go up a level. Even though you can do them individually, right? Just bear that in mind. I really want to save up and try to get the cutter to separate the west and east half. This is fantastic. It increases the amount of shape that you are able to effectively use. So really good upgrade, the cutter. The swapper is also quite useful. That's 12 points, so quite a ways away. And then trash just voids items, right? So 4 points, not as useful as the others, but definitely can be useful depending on what you're doing. Then there's an extra floor for 50 points. That's really expensive. Labels if you want to be labely, I guess. Then there's a different setup stacker. It uses a slightly smaller footprint or a little bit different footprint. It's not necessarily smaller, it's just different. Then there's 180-degree rotator. If you need to rotate a bunch, this can be very helpful for that. And then there's a counterclockwise rotator, which rotates the other direction, right? So a bunch of stuff we can unlock. We need more points. We only have 2 of them. Once we complete these, we should get more. Looking at the tasks, right? So we started out with 1 point each. Now we're getting 2 points each. Then we'll get another 2 points each. And then on the last level, you get 6 points. And it's like that for most of them. So the pyramid is the exception because this is only a 2-task thing. But all the rest of them, you get 6 points for the last shape in the task. So it is worth going all the way to the end on your tasks just because you will end up with the bulk of the research points at the end of the line, if that makes sense. So anyway, we have a pretty good start so far. We are in Milestone 2, about halfway done, I would say. A little less than, well, actually it is about halfway done with this milestone. Once we get to the next shapes, we'll set up lines for it. But I think what we'll do is we'll maybe wrap it up here for today, keep the episode a little bit shorter than than it could be. I mean, we could sit here for another hour probably and maybe get to the end of Milestone 2. But I think what we'll do is we'll come back next time. We'll finish out Milestone 2. We'll finish out the rest of the tasks. And then we'll come in and try to get Milestone 3 done as much as possible. I want to get Milestones 2 as soon as possible because that unlocks blueprints, which is super helpful. That gives us our copy and paste tool, which, yeah, makes this game go crazy. Like, it goes so much faster. So we're going to try to hold out for that. What I'll do, I'm going to let the game tick over so we can finish out the milestones and the tasks off camera, just because it's boring watching this stuff, trickle, whatever, without a lot to do in the background, right? So when we build a new shape, right? So if I'm going to build a line for like this triple stack square, for example, I'll be sure to come and start recording again so you can see how to put together that line. And then we might skip while it feeds into the hub. Let me know in the comment section if that works for you. If you like just show me the build, and then we'll skip over the incremental part of waiting for shapes to go on conveyor belts. Or if you'd prefer to just see the whole thing, and I'll do my best to accommodate. But yeah, guys, this is Shapes 2. I plan on trying to play through the whole game with you guys on YouTube, just because this game is a lot of fun from what I've played of it so far, and I've barely scratched the surface. So if you like what you see, be sure to come back for the next one. Consider liking the video as well if you enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to the channel if you so desire. Lots of content similar to this, factory automation style, but also incremental games, all sorts of games. Before we go, we'll go ahead and complete this task. Unlocked. Bam. This one we'll handle next time. It's not difficult to do, but we'll take care of it next time. But guys, if you enjoyed the episode today, be sure to like, comment, subscribe as always. And until next time, this has been LD7, and we will see ya.